All right, what's up? This is my second time trying a video like this. So if you didn't see the first one, here's what to expect. These are completely no cuts. At least that's the goal, unless I really mess up and end up staring into space for 5 minutes or something like that. But that is the intent, just a very raw format, go through a list of topics, things that are maybe not completely worth a full video on their own, or things that I just want to talk a little bit more loosely and openly about. But that's kind of the vibe. You know, it's slower, it's just at a normal talking pace. It's not trying to keep your attention and YouTube and excited and all that. It's just let's just sit down and talk through some things, some updates, some personal things, some business things. Like I said, this is the second time doing this. The first one, wow, those were probably the nicest comments I've ever seen on any YouTube video that I've done. So if you were one of those commenters, thank you. I mean, it was insane. I guess it was just this more intimate format just really resonated, I guess. And so I think it's something that I'll do time to time, kind of like once I feel like the list sort of accumulates to a level where there's enough to talk about for 30, 40 minutes. And then, I don't know, maybe it's like a quarterly type of thing, but definitely not a super frequent thing. So yeah, I think that one intrigued people because of the title and the topic of leaving LA. It seemed like that really struck a chord, and it's still something I'm thinking about, like just to kind of give a little update on that. It's not happening right now, but it does seem inevitable. I feel like I'm not quite finished in LA, but at the same time, it's, I'm not going to be here forever. So that's kind of my current thoughts, and yeah, I mean, it'll happen eventually. So let's just, I've got a list of topics here. They're going to pop up on the screen somewhere, and then, you can kind of skip through whatever you want to do. But first on the list here is books that I've read recently. Just want to talk about reading. I want to say words about reading words. So first, a little meta. Part of how I've been able to have at least a short period, I kind of fell off this recently, a short period of reading more books than ever, at least at a bigger pace, because, I've been so sold on the concept of reading, right? It's like you're getting someone's life's work, someone's life. See, yeah, no edits. Like I said, someone's entire life of diving into a topic and perfecting it and being an expert and condensing it and conveying it in a way that you can consume in a week. I just think reading is almost one of the best uses of our time before we all die. So I think reading is great. So, but it's been such a struggle to make reading a practice. And I think it is a practice. It's like a meditation practice. It's a learning practice. It's a focus practice. It's just a practice at being a better human. And it's something I've also struggled with. I think it's partially due to just the technology era and ADD and all of that, but it's hard to sit down and read a book for 30 minutes a day. I mean, it may sound very simple to some of you, but it might sound incredibly impossible to others of you. And I guess this will be a little meta as well, is one of the ways that I have been doing this better comes from one of the books that I read, which was Atomic Habits by James Clear. And one of the concepts, the meaning of atomic habits is not just like habits that make you blow up. It's like atomic actually means really small. So what are these like tiny little habits that, compound or stack or add up to be, greater than worthwhile to implement, right? And so one of the concepts is habit stacking, and that's something I've been doing. So I'm getting back into cycling, riding bikes. Jessica and I both got some cool bikes, and we've been riding, and one of my best friends is like a cycling addict, like the whole suit and all that. I'm not that level yet, but we'll see. I don't know, Matt 2020 wearing whatever they're called, Lycra. I don't know. But I mean, that's fun, and that's a great habit. Cycling, exercise, getting outside, all of that. And I've compounded that with getting back into audiobooks. So listening instead of reading. I love the intimacy of a physical book. I love the ability to refer back to notes on a Kindle. You lose a lot of that with audiobooks, but you gain back the ability to plow through a book in 2 days that might have taken me 6 months of, procrastinating the physical one or picking it up here or there and all of that. So, I definitely had a resurgence of using Audible and was able to just plow through couple books a week for this period of time. Then in the past few weeks, things have been weird. I'll get into that in a later point, just like schedule and this time of year and stuff like that. So haven't really been on my typical routine, but so Atomic Habits by James Clear, that was one that I read. I reread, what is it called? Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which is an incredible book that everyone should read. I think it's, it's a story, a first person account from a psychologist in concentration camps. And it really puts things into perspective, just makes you, a little wake up call of how your problems are just not that big a deal. And how even in the craziest of situations, how adaptable we are. Really powerful. I also went through The Power of Now, which is great. And then also Indistractable, which I think is a incredibly relevant topic right now. So I was excited for it. Wasn't particularly mind-blowing to me, maybe just because I'm already so immersed in that mindset, but might be a great starting point for people that are interested in this distraction culture and how to cultivate focus and things like that. But for me, it was just, I don't know. It didn't hit me super strong, but was good. And I am almost entirely through Ryan Holiday's Stillness is the Key. I had basically 90% finished it and then, got off track for a bit. But I'm going to reread that. I mean, it's incredible. That's probably one of my most highly recommended books. Incredibly well. I'm probably next going to reread Awareness by Anthony DeMello, because Tim Ferriss continues to talk incredibly highly about it. My friend Sam talks highly about it. I did read it. I loved it, but I think it's one too that needs some refreshing on. So that's probably going to be the next thing that I read shortly. And that ties into the next point, which is my kits. So kit.com, formerly now kit.co, is something that I've done for quite a while with it's a site where you can, put together these collections of products so you can easily, show oh, this is my YouTube camera gear or whatever. That's what I was doing in my YouTube description for a long time. Still there. Where you can go figure out the mics, the camera stuff, all of that, because, you get those questions when you're making videos. But relatively recently, probably a bit now, not too recently at this point, but haven't really talked about it, is I set up 2 more kits. So all 3 now are at kit.co/Matt Loberstein. And so the first one is the YouTube one, which I mentioned. And then I did one, which segues from the last point. I did one of my favorite books. So you can find that there too. You can see, just a collection of some of my favorite books and, books that I've reread, books that have impacted me, books that I highly recommend. And those are there. Business, philosophy, and not just, practical, tactical, all that, but, the good stuff. And that's there. And then the third one is for the health and biohacking obsessed of you. I know there's one of you out there other than me. That is one of my biggest obsessions, longevity, health, feeling the best I can now so I can feel good for as long as I can. And sleep, diet, all of that. So there is a collection in there that is all based around, weird foods, supplements, home products and hacks and ways to hack your home environment, from, air quality monitors that I'm seeing in the corner of my room over there to, all of this variety of things like that. EMF blocking underwear is in there, my sleep tracking ring, just a lot of things like that, in addition to food, supplements, kind of like replenishable, consumable hygiene products. So for any of the health conscious people out there, check that out. And the benefit of kits, using the kits, they're mostly through Amazon or other things. And, they are affiliate links. So, throws me a few bucks if you use those links when you're, shopping around for those types of products. But it really is just a collection of products that I use and recommend. It's not like I'm like buying ads to run to this or something to like I make like $2 a month on Amazon associates, okay? But I just want to have these collections out there because I get asked these things, and I like to recommend products that I'm passionate about. I think it's a lot of fun, like to be, how Tim Ferriss can just like snap his fingers and bring this awareness to like an incredible product. I think that's really, really cool. So kit.co/Matt Loberstein, 3 kits up now. Moving on to YouTube. So YouTube update. I have a bit fallen off the wagon here again. It's been a few weeks. I suppose this is probably the first video to go up after that bit of a break. Tying into a later point, which I don't know, might knock it off the list now, but it's mainly just scheduling trips, all this stuff. It's just been hard to kind of keep a consistent schedule. I did have one of the recent Amazon videos do quite well, which was like the first time in a very long time that a video really reached a new audience, and I think now, as of this recording, it seems like in the last day or so it finally like dropped off, but it's above 20,000 views. My subscribers went from about 5 new subscribers a day to 30 for a while, a few days of higher than that. The YouTube revenue went up a bit. It's definitely nothing incredible, but it was interesting just to see that as a proof of concept. I still kind of have this general lack of finding a rhythm on YouTube. You guys have heard me say this now for so long, but I think it's just because I still think that, if I hit that right momentum, I hit that right stride, I can find the right schedule, the right routines. But, I'll have like this routine for 3 months, and then I'll have this routine for 2 months. And it's just tricky. I think the thing that would make me the happiest amongst probably everything that I'm doing, like all my businesses, everything, is if I had a video that was one of like my more passionate videos, like not just another Amazon video, but say like that video I made about time and time management and those types of things, thinking about structuring your life, those types of things. If I could have one of those videos blow up, that would make me the happiest, because I think that could kind of like set my channel on a new trajectory of bringing people in who find my content not from a how to make $1 million on Amazon video, but how, just this other stuff. And it would kind of become like a new branch of my content, which for the long term, I would really like to establish many, many more branches. I just think that would be fun. Like, I don't like to be the Amazon guy. I just want to be able to talk about a lot of things, mostly with the undertone of, self-improvement, things like that. But I want to be able to expand. And I think so far I haven't had like even like a drop of success with anything other than an Amazon video. And even the Amazon videos are hard to have success with, to be honest. But as always, I'm incredibly grateful for my YouTube audience, and especially the ones that go deep, like the people that would be listening to this crazy ramble, or the people that would be listening to my podcast with Sam, Thoughts from Space Rock. Shout out to those listeners. Those are like the deep levels of engagement with me, which is only a very small subset of the audience, which is to be expected. But I would like to have like new tops of the funnel under different subcategories, if that makes sense. Related, moving on, YouTube ads. This is something I'm very hyped about in multiple areas, and this is YouTube ads. So did I already say that? I don't even know. Did I say YouTube ads and then did I explain it and then did I say YouTube ads? I might have, but talking to cameras is weird. It's like, I don't know. So where was I? YouTube ads. everyone talks about Facebook ads all the time, right? Facebook ads, Facebook ads, Facebook ads. Like we hear it like everywhere. Like it's just this like magic secret sprinkle to like put on any business. And it's like, oh, I have a business idea. It's not working. You just need Facebook ads. It's so easy. Like it kind of seems like that's like everyone is just always like looking directly to Facebook ads first, right? And look, I think Facebook ads are incredible. The targeting is insane. There's obviously people that succeed to massive levels with it. But I think YouTube ads are underutilized. And I think the reason that I think this is a few points. You can do almost the same level of crazy hyper targeting that you can do on Facebook. Not quite as creepy, but arguably more direct in some other ways. For example, no matter how much you're targeting your exact potential customer, right? You have the demographics, you have, all of that stuff, interests, all of that, age, location, whatever. You have all of that on Facebook. Your ad is still just showing up amongst a whole bunch of shit, right? It's just showing up in their feed when they don't want it, all of that stuff. I think what's incredibly powerful about YouTube is the placement targeting, because not only can you do all that same demographic, who is my customer targeting, but you can place your ads on videos about specific topics. So, if you were selling like running shoes, not only could you target the type of person who is interested in running shoes, which on Facebook, you would target that type of person. It would show up in their feed as they're browsing, whatever. What if you did that and you stacked that on a YouTube video about best running shoes or how to choose a running shoe? And then you're getting people that are like actively searching. It's kind of like Amazon where you get people that are actively searching. I don't know. It's just very interesting. And, I've been running ads, say, for Zero to Brand, and I'm basically not doing anything on Facebook for it right now. YouTube just seems underutilized. Seems more effective cost-wise, seems more potentially relevant to the person on the other end. So yeah, it's something that I've gone a lot deeper and I've been learning a lot more about. I've been really diving in, and now I'm at the stage of like applying it to other businesses as well and trying to scale and trying to, learn it deeper. But yeah, it's just interesting how people look to Facebook ads so much and not YouTube ads. YouTube ads, massive platform, arguably more like relevant. So it's something that I'm very, very excited about, and hopefully can get up to the next level. So that is YouTube ads. Next is related to YouTube and kind of this personal brand thing in general. Something I've been thinking about is privacy. And, I started out on YouTube just literally talking to the camera as if it was like my best friend on the other end, and I think that there's immense value in that for both sides, for you and for me. I was going to say for you and whatever. And that's kind of what I'm doing in a video like this, to some extent. But, I used to just like show every aspect of my life, numbers, everything. And I still, mix that stuff in. But I've just come to kind of like respect and understand why it is kind of good to have like a distance to some extent, to keep some things private, to keep some successes private even, just to not just like act like this is some show off stage, just to like, it's just kind of nice to, it's funny, but it's like, it's nice to be able to like do something and not share it. You kind of hit that point, I think. I think Casey Neistat was talking about that in some video, because he's kind of gone through this like transformation of moving from New York to LA and kind of slowing down and doing less and sharing less. And he has like kids, so he keeps that private. And I guess all I'm really saying is I understand that now. And so, I'm not vlogging anymore. I used to vlog. I'm not saying I'm not doing videos, but I'm not like vlogging, just like, hey guys, I'm doing this. Like, it's more just like, hey, I'm sitting down and talking about this topic, and not necessarily like just showing like everything, it just kind of feels right now. Like maybe I'll go back to that eventually, but especially with the momentum I'm having on YouTube, doing something like a vlog just seems like really silly right now. It just seems like, I don't know, like why would I share that? Like it just seems odd. But I could also see, YouTubers that have like large followings, then the subset that cares about the personal stuff is larger just based on the proportions of your audience. So, I think it could be fun maybe eventually, but I've just kind of come to respect, not necessarily sharing everything, curious like if that even is making sense, but just something I've kind of had on my mind a little bit in terms of like the content. I'm very selective with what I say and what I put out. I think I started in the Gary Vee mentality, just like show everything 24/7, right? And I think now it's more like, I want to respect the viewer's time and attention incredibly. That's incredibly important to me, and I also want to respect the way that I feel about what I'm putting out. And if I don't want to put out something, then I'm not going to put it out. It's ultimately like, this has to be fun for me. This has to feel good for me. This has to be valuable to you. Yeah, I don't know. Something I'm thinking about. Writing. So writing, I think writing is something I want to do more of, and I am now practicing doing more of. And, over the past several months, I was doing some Facebook articles. I don't know what you would call them, even just like long form-ish, medium form. Medium form, I've never heard that said in my life. Short form and long form, but no one says medium form. But medium form Facebook posts. And it's just enjoyable. It's a good way of testing your thinking, and it's just, I think you get a different consumer to something written than like a flashy YouTube video. And I think a lot of this inspiration comes from Ryan Holiday. Like I mentioned, stillness is the key. One of my favorite authors and just sort of people to follow in general. People are always like, which business guru do you like? And I'm like, kind of over all of them, but not that there's not good ones. It's just, I kind of like to look at other areas. And Ryan Holiday is just a very intriguing person to me. Very successful, but now he lives on like a farm and he writes, and that's basically it. He does some speaking, but he's made his life incredibly simplified. And I like that. I understand like the lure of that simplicity and doing something like writing as a practice every day. And I think, I don't know, not right now. I'm not going to just stop everything I'm doing right now and move to a farm and start writing, but maybe in 5-10 years, maybe I'm doing less, maybe I'm writing a book. Maybe I'm, only doing, I don't know, interview podcasts. Maybe I'm just immensely simplified and like doing just one project at a time, even like rather than 10 projects at a time, go to 5 projects at a time, go to 2 projects at a time, go to 1 project for the next 10 years. I mean, I really think that's interesting because everything is so short term now, and it's like, imagine just like working on a project for years. Something that I want to get into, this wasn't on my list, but sub point, I guess, is, one of the main things that ever pushed me to entrepreneurship was my obsession with music. When I was 16, 17, all I wanted to do with my life was make music. And that in a way led me to want to make money, want to start a business, because I was like, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is if I figure out the money thing. Long story short, it kind of got like so wrapped up in that trajectory that I stopped making music, and I haven't gone back to it. But I would very much like to. And I think that ties in with what I'm saying, because imagine, working on an album for 4 years or something. And not just doing that, but imagine if you had nothing else to worry about as you were doing that. That's very different than like, doing that on the side of a job and on the side of running 6 different businesses. Like what if that was like on your agenda for today, was like write for 3 hours or make music for 4 hours? It's just very interesting to me. So writing is something I want to practice. I think writing could be in my future. And segue, one of the ways that I'm practicing writing is I started a newsletter. And funny, I think I'm about 8 weeks into it now, and this might be my first time mentioning it on YouTube. But this is quickly becoming maybe my favorite content creation platform. So it's not a internet marketing newsletter. This is not a funnel. This is not a sell you on, Amazon, zero to brand, whatever. This is not like a marketing funnel email. So you don't have to be afraid of it. This is like a once a week, I want to write something. I'm leaving it quite vague, but for the most part, that's been kind of inspired by like a Tim Ferriss 5 Bullet Friday type of email. If you've seen that before, 5 interesting things of the week, 5 things I'm thinking about doing. So it's kind of been like that, not always 5, but sometimes longer form than what he does, but that's mostly been the format. Here are, some business opportunities that are intriguing me. Here's a video I really enjoyed this week. Here's a quote from a book that really shifted my perspective. Kind of just a little collection of things that are intriguing me, things that are piquing my interest, and invariably they resonate with people because I think that's a good judge of if something is going to be interesting. If it interests you, it's going to interest other people. And I find those are like the best things to put out, are like these weird little things that strike me in a funny way. So a lot of it is that. Some of it is going to be just like other, maybe it'll just be a piece, just a one piece of writing one week. Last week it was almost like a journal entry. It was just like this long form-ish update, kind of like this in writing. Not this long, but it was just a ramble of stuff. But really, really, really enjoying writing the newsletter. So if there's any ask in this video, it would be, check out the newsletter. I think that it is... my goal is to write an email that people look forward to opening. It's not like another spammy marketing email. It's like, this is an email I'm hoping people will kind of like sit with for a few minutes. Like maybe you open it with your coffee and you look at it and you click the links to all the little things that I'm looking at and thinking about and suggesting. And it's been a lot of fun. And similar to what I said earlier about like the subset of the audience, I massively appreciate those little weird subsets of my audiences. Of my audience, like the people that respond to my podcast with Sam, the people that are consuming and replying to the newsletter. It's like, oh, like these are my friends. These are people that I am getting to know. It's really cool. And people that are watching this video for sure. But even like being in here it's different than just like a lot of people are just clicking around YouTube. That's fine. That's great. But like obviously I might be about to hit 25,000 subscribers on YouTube, but that only means there's a handful of people that are like really connected, and that's part of it, but that's very fun and interesting. So the newsletter is becoming my best way to do that. And another perfect segue. Oh my God, just like on it with the segue. You can find the newsletter at my new website, which is already not that new, but I haven't done an update in a while. So mattloberstein.com, put together a fairly simple, minimalist website just for me as a person. Can find links to projects and stuff like that, and you can sign up to the newsletter at mattloberstein.com. It is a Squarespace website. This sounds like a Squarespace ad. You know how like everything is a Squarespace ad? This is not a Squarespace ad, but Squarespace can hit me up now that I'm a Squarespace user. So yeah, it is what it is. Check out the website. It's very simple. Not a lot of like stuff on there, but just kind of a way to put together the things that I'm up to, and place to sign up for the newsletter. So that's probably all there is to say on that. Next up is just this general sort of difficulty to get the stuff done this time of year. Like it's a hard time of year to be productive. I've, in the past, month and a half, I've, went out of town for a wedding, visited family for Thanksgiving, had an awesome trip visiting friends in Colorado, about to go visit family again for the holidays. So it's like I haven't had I've hardly had any streak of just normal routine, which is so hard to get stuff done. And I also don't want to beat myself up too much for that, but it's been hard to even stay on like my routine. Like I typically always try to meditate every morning, to read every morning, to journal, those types of things. And even those have fallen off. Like I mentioned, the reading, I wrote that a point on my list a few weeks ago, how I'm like, oh my God, I'm reading so much. And then of course, last few weeks, basically zero reading, which is going to happen. But yeah, I don't think it's good to beat ourselves up too much. You know, it is like the holidays, happy holidays, blah, 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 all that. But, you know, I think if you're like me, which you probably are if you're watching this, there's a part of you that kind of makes yourself feel like shit also for not being on it right now. And I want to be, but you know, I fell off on YouTube. I've been doing all these other things. I've been working on some new projects, which I'm about to get into in a couple more points, which is the main thing I've been excited about lately, which feels good. So that's probably all I have to say on that one. Just generally a hard time of year to be in a routine. And I'm kind of excited to like get back into a rhythm because I feel like I'm not in a rhythm right now. It's weird. Like I'm like, what day is it? What month is it? Like it's strange. Next up, the podcast. So kind of a broader point of making promises to the audience and dropping the ball. The podcast is something I've wanted to do for so long, and for some freaking reason, I still haven't done it. And I think probably around the time of the last update, I was like, okay, now it's happening. But with the negative momentum on YouTube and everything, just like adding the podcast in right now, it just feels like, like I like to add things when I'm on like an upswing. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to like throw things into the fire when the fire's like going out. I think my goal with all this personal brand stuff was always that it would be like, you know, going and going and going up. And right now it's like, oh, YouTube is really hard. So it's like, do I want to throw YouTube on top of it or throw podcasts on top of this? I think long term, I could enjoy the podcast much more than YouTube probably. But I also just want, I don't know. I don't want it to be so freaking hard also. You know, I think that's a good thing to think about. Everyone's like, oh, do what you want. I think that's great advice, but you want for what you're doing to be easy also. Not easy in the sense that just like everything happens easily, but like it shouldn't be so uphill. Like you want to be going where things are happening naturally. So I think I'm still going to get to it, but it's also hard. Like, look, I have high ambitions for this thing. I wanted it. You guys saw the preview probably, you know, 3 camera angles, really high quality, all of that. These microphones. And I started reaching out to a few people, and it's just hard to arrange everything too. You know, people are busy. I get it. If somebody asked me to do an in-person podcast, I'd be like, I don't know. Like, unless it's like really good, right? So even with people I know and have connections with, it's like, you know, you got to ask these people multiple times, try to figure out a day, try to figure it all out, you know, try to figure out what's in it for them. So, you know, it's just not that easy. It's another one of those things. It's like, you know, I could imagine, you know, you're a year in, people are reaching out to you. It's easy, but yeah, it will happen. I'm just like, I don't know, just a little discouraged about it, I guess, but it will happen. Planting seeds. So this is kind of related to the discouragement, the negative momentum, and then there'll be some positive news in the next one. But I feel like over the past couple of years, I've been planting so many new seeds. Like maybe this will grow into a business, and maybe this will grow into the business, and maybe this will be a platform, and this will be an audience, and all of that. I've just been like starting a lot of little things and genuinely diverting my attention from a lot of the, you know, the ROI stuff, diverting my attention from a lot of the stuff that's working into planting these little passion seeds in the hopes that they would grow into something. And in the next point, one of them is finally sprouting, but I think I've hit this point where it's like, you know, what has been the ROI on a lot of these things? You know, what has been the ROI on YouTube? what has been the ROI on, putting all this time into, I don't know, my Instagram and Facebook groups and all of this sort of personal brand stuff. Like, because I've got quite a lot going on at this point, and it's like, what has been the ROI of that? And not that everything has to be ROI, but some things have to be ROI. And yeah, like, I guess I'm just at a point where it's like, oh, I thought some of these seeds would have sprouted by now, because I've started all these different things and doing all these different things, and hoping that I'm hoping that like these things can become meaningful things in the near future. One that is sprouting now is my new company has officially launched. And this is cool because really I guess, I don't know if I would say the first time, but like, it's cool because I can be pretty much entirely transparent on this. This is a product that I'm saying what it is. You can see the branding. You can look at the Instagram. You can see what I'm doing and check it out. And so the new business is called RSNV. It is a Porsche upgrades brand. So we're making parts for Porsches, focusing on Porsches for the time being at least. And this has been about 7 months in the works. This is, of course, a passion project, but I think a substantial opportunity as well, and something that just feels fun. Like, it doesn't feel like work, which is what I've been saying and striving for so long. So this is the type of thing that, a year, 2 years from now, if this could be one of the main things I'm doing, like one of my main projects, like, I'd be ecstatic. So it's up. Website is rsnv.co. Instagram, rsnv.co. What else? Yeah, Facebook, rsnv.co. But you can check it out. It is first product is for the GT4. By the way, this is ridiculously niche for anyone that doesn't know Porsches, doesn't know cars. You might not know what I'm talking about, but I own a Porsche GT4, which is kind of like the track version of the Porsche Cayman, which is not the 911, but the mid-engine platform, Porsche sports car. It's like the high track version of that. It comes with a wing from the factory. We're doing a wing riser. So it raises the spoiler, raises the wing at the back of the car, makes it much more aggressive, makes it look like an RS, makes it look like it should from the factory. So that's where the name came from, RS NV. And which I think is a great name. I think I'm so happy with how the whole sort of branding package came out, which ties into something I said recently. Where did I say it? But every time you go into a new business, every time I go into a new business, it's amazing just how much easier it is, because it's like everything a little bit more. Like, for example, the last brands that I started before this, how long did it take to, like, before I was like, doing anything with, say, content? Whereas with this one, it's like, oh, now I know the pieces. Now I know how to do video. Now I understand, like, we need this, this, and this. It's like day one, it's like beautiful video, branding, everything. Like, day one, it just looks legit. And it's just amazing how much, and in much less work than it took me to do less, previous times. Interesting. So I'm incredibly happy with how the branding all came out. The website looks incredible, I think. Definitely, just scope it out, rsnv.co. Really happy with the website, logo, kind of the overall aesthetic of the photos, the videos. The product itself, the logo, designed into the product just all looks awesome. We have an incredible, like, offer compared to, like, what, competition is doing in the market. I won't get probably too into the specifics here about just, like, that side of things. But I am very curious what you guys think would make good content around this, because this is already, like, a pretty meaningful business. This is going to be meaningful. I can talk more openly about it, probably. I don't know about, like, numbers and stuff, but, like, you'll get the idea, So yeah, what would be good content around this? It's built on Shopify. It's a full custom engineered product. What could I put out around this? This is really my first time even mentioning it on the channel. I mean, I've said that something like this is coming. I said I was doing a car parts something, but this is it. So what do you want to see about it? I'd be really curious about that. And one thing, just to give an idea of where we're at, really cool is camera temperature has risen. Let's make sure we keep recording here. Can't miss my one take. But what's really cool is currently where we're at, it's open pre-orders. So inventory should be done in a couple weeks, meaning we haven't even paid our balance payment to our supplier, but we open pre-orders. And at the time of this recording, our pre-order value is already greater than the balance payment, which we haven't paid, and almost as big as the entire initial inventory payment. So within the next, few days, we'll probably be at a point where the pre-orders outweigh the entire investment in the first batch of inventory. So that's pretty cool, kind of getting not Kickstarter, but kind of like doing that model on our own a bit. Really interesting. That's kind of new for me. I can't think of a time I've really done anything like that. So that's exciting. I think that's about it on RSNV, but I'm just super pumped to have it out there in the open. People can buy it. So for all of you that have a Porsche GT4, which is probably not any of you, you should definitely get it. It looks incredible. The proportions are just on point. Makes the car look insanely good. If anyone knows somebody with a Porsche GT4, please do let them know. One thing I didn't mention, incredibly, incredibly niche. I mean, there are only 4,000 or 5,000 of these cars in the United States and about the same amount globally on top of that. But there's a new 2020 GT4 that's about to come out, and that's where we're really looking. So anything we make on the current GT4s is bonus, and we're really looking at the new ones. They're going to make much more of them than the previous. And we're also going to get into, all these other, I have a whole spreadsheet of product ideas, brand, right? At first I was like, let's do this product. And I'm like, brand, product line. What else can we do? Right? It's like a sickness. Next up, not too much to say on this, but related to the Porsche thing, I'll mention, I think I mentioned this before, but I have a side project that's Porsche related that I have been public about before RSNV, which this is PTS for Sale Instagram account. You can check it out at PTS for Sale. This is obsessing over the paint to sample cars, which are, basically these custom orders from the factory, real authentic factory paint. You pay a bunch of money, you have to get it approved, all of that, but there's a whole community of freaks like me that nerd out about this PTS, these paint to sample cars. And one of the ones we put the RSNVs on is paint to sample, so kind of using that. Probably we'll do a little bit of cross promoting. Haven't really done that yet, but PTS for Sale is just a fun side project. Growth, I kind of slacked on it a little bit lately. Growth was super great. I think now it's at like 13,000 followers. Really, really engaged. Was thinking more about how to turn that into business before. Now I'm thinking like, let's just like keep growing it and, figure out maybe business opportunities around it later, brokering cars, getting commissions, I don't know, merch, products, stuff like that, cross promoting with RSNV. Definitely a lot of potential there, but it's just a fun side project. And I'm trying to do, if you haven't got the vibe, I'm trying to do more things that are just fun. I'm trying to do more things that I just want to do. The writing, PTS, the car parts brand, all these things are, or even YouTube, but doing things that are, just stuff I want to do. I think that's really the way to go. Less ROI focus, more just like, what am I getting out of it? A bit of selfishness, like a bit of like, how do I feel about it? Not selfishness in the money sense, selfishness in like what the hell am I doing with my life? And am I doing things that I want to be doing? Last thing, short one, but the watch obsession creeped back in. I'd made a video of my watch collection a couple months ago now, which I had been talking about doing forever. That was fun. Like literally 2 days after I made that video, this piece came up that I had to buy, which shifted my collection a lot, actually. So I made an unboxing video of that watch, the Universal Genève Pull Router Sub. And then by buying that, I decided to sell, some of the lesser pieces. So Already sold a few, couple more still, in the process of being sold. But yeah, vintage watches where it's at. And that ties into the YouTube stuff, because that's one of those things like, one of the reasons that I would love to have this platform is to be able to spin off other subcategory channels or topics or subcategories of the Matt channel or whatever. Like, because I would love to make car videos. I would love to make watch videos. But I also don't want to it's confusing right now because of like the size of my audience, the size of the subsets of the audience. It's like it's not quite ready to like spin these things off, and it'd be a lot of work. Like I said with the podcast, while it would be fun to make watch videos, it wouldn't be fun if there was just nothing happening at all with it, So it's like, that's why I'm trying to get that momentum to where I can, light these fires on other projects that I'm doing. So yeah, buy vintage watches. I think that's it. How do I end these? I don't remember, but I just really appreciate people that watch these solo updates. Do you like this? Is this the weirdest shit you ever watched? Should I do this every couple of months? This is the second one. Yeah. And what do you think about everything that I said? I guess leave me some comments. These ones I really, really like to dig into because, like I said, it is a little bit more friend-like. Really appreciate the people that watch these types of videos, subscribe to the newsletter, listen to TFSR. So yeah, just really, really appreciate you. Really appreciate I feel like whenever I like kind of shit talk YouTube, I hope that the people watching understand that it's not you that I'm talking about, like I'm so appreciative of the people that are watching. It's just like, I'm just trying to figure this thing out too, So I think that comes through, but just want to say that in case that I really, really, really appreciate anybody that watches anything that I put out at all. And yeah, check out RSNV, let all your GT4 friends know about it, and see you soon. Happy holidays.